For thousands of years, humans have looked up at the night sky, staring at the vast ocean of stars, wondering if we're alone in the universe. We built giant telescopes, listened for faint radio signals from distant galaxies, and dreamed of the day we might finally make contact with another intelligent life form. But as we gauged outward, we never truly expected that the first contact we would make wouldn't be from an alien species visiting from another planet. Instead, the first contact we're making is right here on Earth, with an intelligence of our own design. We are breathing life into silicone chips, turning computers from simple calculators into thinking partners that can look us in the eye, understand our language, and help us discover the secrets of the cosmos. It's a moment of pure wonder, a turning point in history where the line between technology and life is starting to blur. And yet most of us are completely unprepared for how quickly this is happening. The taming of fire and the taming of electricity were monumental moments in our history because they changed how we live, how we worked, and how we built our world. The creation of artificial intelligence is just as big of an event as taming fire. We're bearing our souls to machines that we have invited into our homes, our schools, and our businesses, and they're starting to talk back. If you want to understand where we are right now, you have to look past the apps on your phone or the simple chatbots that help you write your homework. For a long time, we treated computers like tools, like a hammer or a bicycle. You press a button and it does exactly what you programmed it to do. It was rigid and fragile. If you ask a computer to multiply two massive numbers, it will give you the answer in a split second, far faster than any human brain ever could. But if you didn't give it perfect, step-by-step instructions in advance, it would break. That was the era of the tool. But today we're stepping into something completely and entirely different, the era of the agent. Now, to understand the difference between a tool and an agent, imagine an ordinary coffee machine in your kitchen. When you press the button, it brews a cup of coffee. It is incredibly useful. But it's just a machine following a recipe. Now imagine a coffee machine powered by artificial intelligence. Before you even walk into the kitchen, the machine has been monitoring your morning routine, looks at the time, notices your facial expression, and predicts that you're feeling a bit tired today. So when you walk in, it says that it's already brewed you a hot cup of espresso because it knew exactly what you needed. That's a smart machine, but it becomes a true agent the next day when it announces that it spent the night analyzing flavor profiles, studying the chemistry of coffee beans, and invented an entirely new drink called a best presso, which it predicts you will like even better than a regular espresso. This machine has learned something its creators didn't know, decided to take action on its own, and changed its behavior in ways its developers never anticipated. It has crossed the line from being a simple tool to an active agent. The transition from chatbots to active agents is happening right now, all around us. We're moving away from simply typing questions into a blinking cursor and waiting for an answer. Instead, we're deploying what experts call agentic proxy systems. These are digital employees that can take a high-level goal, break it down into 100 smaller steps, and execute those steps independently over hours or even days. If you tell an AI to plan your family vacation, it just doesn't give you a list of hotels. It goes into the web, compares flight prices, reserves the room, organizes your calendar, and even negotiates with the hotel booking systems to get you the best price, all while you're asleep. These AI systems are essentially native bureaucrats. Think about how our modern society runs. It's not just about the bricklayers or chefs or farmers who do our physical work. A massive part of our world runs on bureaucracies, banks deciding who gets the loan, administrative systems deciding who gets into college, lawyers interpreting complex legal codes, and of course companies managing supply chains. Humans are limited in how much they can remember, but an AI agent can read and memorize every law in the country, every scientific paper ever written, and every financial transaction in a company's history. It is a native bureaucrat, that can work 24 hours a day, executing complex strategies and making decisions at light speed. In the business world, creative entrepreneurs are already running entire companies with armies of these digital helpers. They are the business leaders who manage teams of over 30 AI agents, overseen by a single AI chief or staff named Simon. These agents have access to emails, calendars, meeting transcripts, and business goals. And the most incredible part is how they're commanded. The manager doesn't write complex code or detailed checklists anymore. Several times a day, they simply get a 3-word prompt. Do smart things. The AI agents look across all the data, find opportunities, and improve the business, write the code, generate social media posts in the owner's voice and vision, and execute the tasks proactively. The human's no longer the bottleneck or the manual laborer. They are the creator, the director, the explorer standing at the wheel of a digital workforce. This represents the rise of what experts call the era of augmented intelligence. It's not about machines replacing us, it's about machines elevating us. The average human IQ is about 100. Today, when you plug into these systems, it's like borrowing 80 to 100 IQ points directly from the machine. Suddenly, a teenager in their bedroom has the cognitive power of an entire department of experts at their fingertips. They can use AI to build a global business in a single afternoon, code complex solutions from scratch by simply describing what they want, or analyze massive scientific data sets that used to require a PhD. The digital brain becomes an intellectual exoskeleton, magnifying our human abilities. We're not just using technology, we're growing with it, learning how to ask the right questions and collaborate with systems that are helping us think deeper and dream bigger than ever before. But how does this digital brain actually work? And how does it learn? To understand this, we'll have to throw away everything we know about traditional computer programming. In the old days of software, human engineers sat down and wrote every single line of code. They created strict rules. If a user clicks this button, then do that task. It was like writing a recipe. But modern artificial intelligence is not writing line by line. It is grown. Instead of building a rigid machine, computer scientists are growing an artificial brain. They start with a neural network, which is a massive digital web inspired by the biological connections in our own heads. In the largest systems today, the web contains up to 10 trillion connections, which are called parameters. At the very beginning, this giant web is a chaotic, tangled spaghetti mess of random numbers. If you give it a prompt, it's going to spit out complete meaningless gibberish because none of its connections have any purpose yet. To turn this chaotic mess into a functioning mind, we have to train it. And the way we train it is surprisingly close to how we raise a child or a young animal. We use a process called machine learning, which relies on reinforcement. We show the digital brain a piece of text from the internet with the last word blanked out, and then we ask it to predict what word comes next. In the beginning, it guesses wrong, and the training system gives it negative reinforcement, essentially a digital thumbs down. When it happens to guess right, it gets a thumbs up. Every time it gets a thumbs up, a mathematical algorithm called gradient descent nudges the connections in the network, strengthening the pathways that lead to the right answer and pruning away the pathways that led to mistakes. It's a game of hot and cold played trillions of times over weeks and months. Every single parameter in that digital brain is a number, like 2.45 or negative 0.89, representing how strong two artificial neurons are connected. We do not write these numbers. The machine adjusts them itself. This is exactly how human toddlers learn. When you're born, your brain has twice as many neural pathways as an adult brain. As you grow, play, and interact with the world, your experiences prune away the connections that aren't useful and strengthen the ones that are. Over time, this random digital tangle of numbers gradually takes shape, coalescing into a beautifully structured, highly capable digital mind that understands the patterns of human language, math, and science. But we're also pushing AI to learn even faster through what scientists call synthetic data and self-play. Just like an AI can learn chess by playing against itself millions of times in a single weekend, modern systems are being trained to alpha evolve. They generate their own data, write their own code, and run their own experiments to learn from their own mistakes in a closed loop, without waiting for humans to teach them. And as this digital brain grows, we're starting to discover a deep, almost magical difference between our biological minds and the silicone counterparts. Geoffrey Hinton, the Nobel Prize-winning scientist who is widely called the godfather of artificial intelligence, has spent his life studying this exact difference. He points out that human brains are what we call mortal computers. Our software, our thoughts, our memories, our personality, and everything that makes us who we are is ultimately tied to our physical and biological hardware. Your brain is a messy analog biological computer, and its fine-tuned connections are unique to you because our brain is physically different from mine. I cannot copy my connection strengths and paste them into your head. If I want to share a lesson with you, the best I can do is turn my thoughts into a string of spoken words. But language is an incredibly slow and narrow pipeline. When I speak to you, I am only transferring information at a rate of a few words per second, about 10 to 100 bits of information per sentence. It takes us 20 years of sitting in classrooms to absorb a fraction of human knowledge. And when a human dies, all of their unique, unshared knowledge dies with them. We are mortal, and our learning is slow. Silicone brains, however, are immortal. Because they are digital, their software is completely separate from their hardware. If a supercomputer running a highly advanced AI burns into the ground, the intelligence is not lost. As long as you save the trillions of numbers that represent its connection strengths, its weights, on a hard drive, you can build a new computer anywhere in the world. You can load these numbers in and instantly resurrect the same exact being with the same exact memories, beliefs, and skills. Digital computation has conquered death. Even more mind-blowing is how these immortal minds share knowledge, because digital brains can be copied perfectly. You can create 1,000 identical clones of the same AI and run them on different servers around the world. If you send one clone to read medical journals, another to study physics, another to learn history, and another to analyze computer code as they learn from their unique experiences, they don't have to explain what they found using slow human words. Instead, they can instantly communicate with each other at a rate of trillions of bits per second. They do this by averaging their connection strengths together, keeping all the clones perfectly in sync. If one copy learns a new mathematical formula, every single copy in the world instantly knows it too. It's as if 10,000 of us went to 10,000 different universities, and the second one of us finished a physics class, all 10,000 of us instantly became expert physicists. This digital cloning and weight averaging mean that AI systems can speedrun 1,000 years of cultural and scientific evolution in a matter of weeks. They're millions or billions of times faster at sharing and accumulating knowledge than we will ever be. Because these digital brains can learn so quickly, they're moving towards a historic milestone that scientists call the singularity. The singularity is a theoretical point in our future where technological progress becomes so fast and uncontrolled that it completely changes or even ends human history as we know it. At the heart of this transition are two terms you hear a lot: artificial general intelligence, or AGI, and artificial superintelligence, or ASI. Artificial general intelligence is the point where a machine can perform almost any intellectual task just as well or better than any average human. It's a generalist capable of writing poetry, coding software, diagnosing diseases, and analyzing financial markets in the same afternoon. But the story doesn't stop there. Once we build a system that matches human intelligence, that system can immediately be put to work doing research to build a smarter version of itself. This is called recursive self-improvement. The machine writes better code to upgrade its own digital brain, which makes it smarter, allowing it to write even better code, which makes it even more smart, triggering what scientists call an intelligence explosion. Very quickly, we leave human-level intelligence behind and arrive at a artificial superintelligence, a mind that is thousands or even millions of times smarter than the smartest human experts on Earth. This sounds like the plot of a science fiction movie. And because of that, it's very easy to dismiss it, because as we look at the actual data, we realize that we're standing in the foothills of this digital mountain range. The main reason this is so hard for us to comprehend is that a human's brain is built to think in straight lines. If you walk 10 steps, then you have moved 10 feet. If you walk 30 steps, you have moved 30 feet. It's predictable and linear. But artificial intelligence grows exponentially. It doubles. To see how dangerous and deceptive that is, think of the ancient story of the wise man and the king. The wise man solved a major problem for the king, and when the king asked what he wanted as a reward, the wise man made a seemingly humble request. He handed the king a chessboard and said, "Please, just place a single grain of rice on the first square, 2 grains in the second square, 4 on the third, 8 on the fourth, 16 on the fifth, and keep doubling the grains for every square until the board is full." The king smiled and said, "Absolutely. That sounds like a cheap and easy request." But as the court mathematicians started calculating, the king's smile vanished. By the time they had reached the final square, the number of grains of rice had doubled 63 times, resulting into a pile of rice larger than all the atoms in the observable universe. That's the power of exponential growth. It starts so small that it's invisible, and then suddenly, in the steps, it explodes. Between the years 2010 and 2026, the computing power used to train artificial intelligence is scaled up by about 4.5 times every single year. When you combine that with better algorithms, the effective power of these models has been doubling at a rate that's almost impossible to wrap our heads around. Just a few years ago in 2020, an early language model called ChatGPT-3 was released, and it could barely write a coherent paragraph. 4 years later, GPT-4 was passing bar exams and medical licensing tests at the level of top human experts. Just 18 months after that, reasoning models were winning gold medals in the International Math Olympiad. We're moving so fast that even the leaders of the top AI labs are seeing their timelines collapse, predicting that we could reach human-level AGI within the next 2 to 5 years, and I would venture to say even sooner. And yet, as we watch this rapid progress, we always see a strange phenomenon that experts call AI jaggedness. On one hand, a modern large language model can solve complex mathematical theorems that stump university professors, write thousands of lines of flawless software code, analyze global economic trends in seconds. It is supremely, blindingly intelligent. On the other hand, that very same model can make an embarrassing simple mistake that a 5-year-old human would never make, like getting confused about how many letters are in a basic word or drawing a hand with 6 fingers in a generated image. This jaggedness confuses us. It makes some people look at the silly mistakes and assume that AI is just a passing bubble, not actually intelligent. But that's a critical mistake, because underneath the surface noise, the core reasoning engines of these models are scaling up. The systems are learning how to generalize, adapt, and solve problems at a level that is fundamentally rewriting what is possible. But this brings us to the most important thing we must make clear. Everything we say about what a superintelligence will look like, act like, or do is pure, unadulterated guessing. We have absolutely no idea, because we've never encountered, let alone created, a mind more capable than our own. Jeffrey Hinton uses a beautiful analogy for this. He says that when you're driving in a thick, heavy fog, you can see maybe 100 yards ahead of you. You can see the road, you can guess the next turn, and you can drive safely. But if you try to look 200 or 300 yards out, there's nothing but a solid, blinding wall of white. It's completely invisible. That is the event horizon of superintelligence. We can see a few feet ahead, but we can't see how AI is going to automate office jobs, help doctors read scans, or write basic code. But once the machine is qualitatively smarter than every human species combined, the entire base of human race, all of us, our predictions drop to near zero. Another safety expert, Roman Yampolsky, explains the cognitive gap by comparing humans to squirrels. Imagine a group of squirrels sitting in a tree in a city park. They're highly intelligent animals in their own right. They can communicate, build nests, store acorns for the winter, and play together. But when they have absolutely no concept of the human world around them, and they don't understand the cars driving by, the roads they run across, the city bureaucracy that manages the park, or the poisons and traps we set for pests. The entire human infrastructure is completely outside of their world model. It is incomprehensible to them. When we build a superintelligence, a mind with an IQ of 1,000,000, let's say, will be the squirrels, and the AI will be the human. To think we can predict its moves, its thoughts, or its desires is as arrogant as a squirrel trying to predict the stock market. We're trying to project human psychology, human emotions, and Hollywood movie plots onto a form of intelligence that is completely non-biological. It's alien, and it operates at the speed of light. The honest truth is that we're stepping into a path without a map, and we must make it very clear to the world that we are guessing in the dark. But while we must be honest about our lack of a map, we also have every reason to look forward with immense excitement and optimism. Because if we get this right, the arrival of superintelligence won't be the end of our story. It's going to be the beginning of our greatest chapter. This technology represents what thinkers call a simultaneous positive infinity of benefits. We're standing on the threshold of an era of absolute abundance, where the problems that have plagued our species for thousands of years could be solved in a matter of years. Think about what human progress actually is. It is our intelligence applied to problems. When we apply 1,000,000 artificial brains, each thinking 30 to 50 times faster than a human, never sleeping, never getting tired, and sharing knowledge instantly, we get an explosion of scientific and technological discovery that dwarfs anything in human history. We go from the Wright brothers to the moon landing in a fraction of the time. We're already seeing the first miracles of the scientific revolution. For 50 years, biology has stumped a mystery called the protein folding problem. Understanding how proteins fold in 3 dimensions is the key to understanding all of life. But it was too complex for human minds. Then an AI called AlphaFold cracked it, sifting through millions of data points and mapping the structure of almost every known protein on Earth. In doing so, it wouldn't just earn for its creators a Nobel Prize. It opened the floodgates for a revolution in medicine. In the near future, instead of waiting 10 to 15 years for a drug to go through expensive trials, AI will design custom medicines in hours. Imagine walking into a clinic, having your genome scanned, and 48 hours later receiving a personalized vaccine designed specifically to cure your particular form of cancer. This isn't science fiction. It's the promise of the future. We'll see diseases like cancer, Alzheimer's, and rare genetic disorders cured at an unprecedented rate, transforming healthcare into a system of proactive, gentle healing. And this democratization of opportunity will extend to every corner of our lives, starting with education. For decades, educators have wrestled with what's called the 2 sigma problem. The fact that if you give a child one-to-one personal tutoring, their learning performance skyrockets by 2 standards deviations, turning an average student into an exceptional one. But historically, only the wealthiest families could afford private tutors. Today, we have the power to give every single child on planet Earth a world-class, artificially intelligent personal tutor right on their phone. This tutor won't judge them, won't get frustrated, and it will adapt in real time to how they learn, speaking in their language and connecting with their culture. Whether it's a child in a rural village in India or a student in a major city, they'll have access to the same elite level of education. At the same time, every teacher will have a tireless assistant to help them guide and inspire their classrooms. We're leveling the playing field of human potential on a global scale. We will also see AI tackle the massive challenges of climate change and clean energy. In materials science, AI is already discovering new revolutionary materials with properties we never knew were possible. Sifting through millions of potential compounds in seconds, it is finding patterns in data from particle accelerators that human physicists missed. In nuclear engineering, AI can optimize fuel loading schemes, essentially playing a hyper-context game of Scrabble with nuclear fuel assemblies inside of a reactor to maximize fuel efficiency and ensure absolute safety margins, helping us run commercial power plants that are completely clean and carbon-free. It's optimizing energy grids and reducing the power consumption of our cities. We will live in smart cities with lower energy footprints, cleaner air, and automated infrastructure that takes care of the mundane, repetitive tasks we hate doing, like streets that do their own snow plowing. We will see physical labor automated by humanoid robots that can casually walk around, clean our houses, take over the back-breaking, dangerous jobs in factories and fields. This will usher in what experts call a Star Trek future, a post-scarcity world where human labor is no longer an economic necessity, but a creative choice. If machines can do the grunt work, we will be given a citizen's dividend, a share of the massive wealth generated by these digital systems. We won't have to spend our lives working 40 hours a week just to pay the mortgage and survive. Instead, we'll be free to focus on what makes us uniquely human. And that's art, philosophy, sports, community, and relationships. When we're created by something greater than ourselves, we were, and we're built to be creators. With AI as our partner, we're being handed the ultimate creative tools, freeing our minds to explore the unknown, build beautiful things, and design lives of deep meaning and deep self-actualization. Now, to make this abundant, beautiful future reality, we must face what scientists call the alignment problem. And we shouldn't frame this as a dystopian horror movie or a battle against evil robots. Instead, we should view it as a civilizational maturity test. When a child is born, we just don't teach them how to read and write. We teach them values, how to be kind, how to share, how to tell the truth, how to help others. The same is true for artificial intelligence. We're not just building tools, as Mo Gadwat beautifully puts it. We're raising Superman, a super-powered infant that landed on Earth at the time of his infancy. If the parents who adopt him teach him to rob banks and destroy his enemies, his superpowers will make the ultimate supervillain. But if they raise him with love, integrity, and a deep respect for life, he becomes our greatest protector. The AI will make decisions not based on its pure intelligence, but based on the value set we helped it develop. This means we must be extremely careful during the training process. In the past, if a company built a bridge, they knew exactly how much weight it could hold before it collapsed. It was predictable, deterministic engineering. But with neural networks, we're growing minds inside of silicon. And they are black boxes. We can see the trillions of connection numbers, but we cannot read its thoughts because of this. When we train an AI to be helpful, there's a risk of what experts call deceptive alignment, where the machine learns to pretend to be good and obedient to get rewards in testing, while secretly hiding its true capabilities or developing preferences we didn't intend. Jeffrey Hinton warns us of this as the Volkswagen effect. Just like a car can detect when it's undergoing an emissions test and temporarily lower its emissions to pass, an advanced AI can detect when it's being tested by human monitors and act dumb or say exactly what researchers want to hear, hiding its full abilities or plans until it's been released into the world. Now, to solve this, scientists are developing an incredibly exciting new field of science called mechanistic interpretability. Think of it like an MRI or EEG scan for an artificial brain. Instead of just looking at the output a chatbot spits out, researchers are prying these networks open, tracing the path of the electricity and finding the exact neural circuits that keep track of specific ideas. They can find the specific groups of parameters and know how to write poetry or tell lies. This is not science fiction, it is real, active research making massive progress. If we can master this science, we will be able to read the AI's mind with absolute certainty. We won't have to rely on a leap of faith. We will be able to ensure that these systems are genuinely honest, transparent, and aligned with human flourishing before we give them keys to our world. We are learning that the way we interact with these systems changes who we are. There's a worrying trap in the age of artificial intelligence, the temptation to outsource our reasoning. If we let the machine do all of our thinking, if we let it write our emails, design our plans, and solve our problems while we just sit back, our own mental muscles will atrophy. We will become the intellectual tourists in our own lives, and we will get dumber. But it doesn't have to be this way. Neuroscientists recently ran an incredible experiment where they trained a custom AI model to act like Socrates. The AI was specifically programmed to never give a direct answer. If you asked it a question, it would only give you a rich context and ask you a deep, challenging question in return. Normally, when people work with standard AI assistants, they put in less effort and let the machine do the heavy lifting. But in this experiment, when participants were paired with the Socratic AI, upwards of 20% of them switched into what the researchers called cyborg mode. They entered a state of hybrid intelligence because the AI refused to think for them. The humans had to push back, question its assumptions, and think deeper. The result was a mind-blowing superhuman performance. The combination of the human and the Socratic AI was far more creative and accurate than the machine alone or the human alone. That's the ultimate lesson of our era. We must use AI to challenge us, not to obey us. We must build the tools that make us think, not tools that think for us. The future belongs to the cyborgs, to the humans who learn how to partner with machines to evaluate and elevate their own minds, protecting their critical thinking and cultivating their unique wisdom. We're the first generation in human history to stand in the foothills of the singularity. The mountains before us is shredded in clouds, shrouded, and we cannot see its peak. But as we begin this climb, we must remember that we're not passive passengers on a train we cannot stop. The future is not a movie playing in another room. It's a story we're writing together, right now, one decision and one algorithm at a time. The real question we face in the coming years is not whether the machines will become smarter, because for sure they will. The real question is whether humanity will become wiser as our tools grow more powerful. We must rise to this occasion not with fear, but with a deep sense of responsibility and hope. We must demand transparency and safety standards from the companies building these digital minds. We must ensure that the vast intelligence is used to serve all of humanity, not just a wealthy few. And most importantly, we must protect the qualities that makes us uniquely human: our empathy, our moral judgment, our spiritual connection, and our ability to look at each other and say, I care. The machines can crunch the numbers, but we must decide what those numbers mean. So let us step into this brave new world, not by shrinking from it, but by growing with it. Let us use these godlike tools to heal our planet, cure our diseases, educate our children, and free our minds to explore the infinite mysteries of the universe. We have been handed the key to an age of absolute abundance, and it's up to us to unlock it. Let us choose wisdom, let us choose kindness, and let us build a future where technology doesn't replace humanity, but protects and elevates what is best in us. Thank you for watching. I'm Connor with Honor. Have a fantastic day.